Thoughts on ex-girlfriend who tries to make you jealous by showing off other guys?
Well, that's pretty easy. Show off hotter, younger women. Be seen with women, whether it's social media or doing things socially, because oftentimes, and especially if you've got an ex, a lot of times the friends groups have become commingled, or you got family members. And if you're out and you're having a good time and you're living in the moment and there's other cute girls around, just you talking to them and having a good time and laughing, maybe even a little kissy poo in public with one of them, that will get back to her and it will show that you're unperturbed and you don't care. Women are very competitive and they like you more if other women like you also. That's just a fact of life.
So I will share a story about one of my dear friends who started dating a guy who recently got out of a relationship, and everything was going really well. And they just so happened to go out to a public place, and the guy's ex-girlfriend was there. A little bit of the backstory: the ex-girlfriend was texting him, calling him, crying. He was telling my friend, "You have nothing to worry about." So they're out in this public place, and the ex-girlfriend shows up with a guy. And this man loses his shit. Completely loses
The
his shit.
ex-boyfriend?
Well, the guy that my friend was dating. And completely lost his shit that his ex-girlfriend was with another man.
Ah,
And
that shows he cares.
shows that he cares.
Yep.
Fast forward to today, he's no longer with my friend and he's back with his ex. So yes, it does.
Yeah.
It does bother men when us women go out in public with newer and hotter guys. And I think vice versa. There's something about, I think, history. When you have history with somebody else,
Yeah, well, you have much, especially with the woman has a much deeper emotional connection to the guy. That's why when a guy gets involved with a woman who's in the middle of a divorce or she's newly single and she didn't really take any time to heal, and then the ex is still in the background, because 75% of the time the women are doing the dumping. And so there's a really good chance that the guy didn't want to be dumped and he still wants to get back together with her. And if you start dating a woman like that and things are going great for a few weeks and you're thinking, wow, this is going to be my next girlfriend, it's great, but she didn't really take time to get over the ex-boyfriend, and especially if the new guy starts over pursuing a little bit and then the ex is still in the background, women are very hot and cold in those situations, and you be sailing along like things are great, and then all of a sudden she's talking to the ex again, and he's able to pull her away from you, not because his game is really necessarily that tight. It's just because she's emotionally bonded to him. Especially if they were together several years and you've only known her a matter of weeks, you're upside down in the leverage position. And, that's why in those kinds of situations, you have to let the women come to you at their pace and not get butthurt or perturbed if she gets cold all of a sudden, because that is just normal. And I talk about this in 3% Man. If you start dating a woman that had a recent breakup, you got to understand that if the ex is still there and he tries to come back, you're in a weak position of leverage. And if you try to force things, or you call too much, you pursue too much, you're going to literally push her right back into her ex's arms.
Yeah, but there's also a case that maybe, the person who got dumped, they could get over that too. Maybe like the it could
Rejection breeds obsession, and typically that's not the case. If somebody got dumped and they didn't want to be dumped, they still want another chance. And that even includes guys that weeks before they got dumped were like, I'm going to probably break up with her. I don't really care about her. And then all of a sudden, he's not making the effort. He's not putting his best foot forward. He's probably talking to or maybe flirting with the other girls. And all of a sudden, his girlfriend preemptively dumps him. Then all of a sudden, he's like, I got to get her back. She's the love of my life. And whereas just a few weeks before, he's just, he didn't care, because rejection breeds obsession. Because especially in guys, it's like the ego can't handle it because it wasn't his decision to end it. Now, if he'd have ended it and it would have been much easier for him to move on. But if he's thinking about in it and then she preemptively dumps his ass, 99% of the time, the guy's like, oh, I love her. I got to get her back. And the guy wants her back. And when I do phone session with those guys, I'm always pointing out, I was like, well, tell me about the last 6 months that you guys were together. And it's like, he wasn't dating her. They were fighting a lot. He was neglecting her. He was being an ass to her. And things just were not good. And he didn't care. But all of a sudden, as soon as, he gets dumped and then he finds out that she's on a date with another guy, I got to get her back. I love her. She's the love of my life. I screwed up because he's seen a bunch of movies like that too. But rejection breeds obsession, and so I've seen that countless times over the years.
In this case, the guy dumped his ex-girlfriend. Just
But
like
then went
Yeah,
back to her.
exactly. That's
But
what
he went back to her.
He
That's-
did go
Yeah,
back.
that was the scenario I was gonna bring up.
That's so
So
selfish.
he did go back because he was like, I don't think I'm done. Like,
That's
Yeah,
selfish.
it's not.
He'll
it's,
dump her again.
of course he's going to dump
Yeah,
her
and it's
again
selfish.
because I don't think he truly cares about the ex-girlfriend.
But it was an ego
It's just
thing.
jealous. Jealous, yeah.
And also from what my friend was telling me about like the things that he was like telling her, I don't think he's a serious person.
Yeah.
And I think that he's definitely not a 3% man.
Yeah, typically when the guys go back in those cases where they didn't care and then all of a sudden they get dumped and they do care and they want to get her back, he usually doesn't last more than
He
3
dumped.
months.
Yeah.
Even in that case, he goes back to her, and then what happens? It typically ain't even gonna make it 90 days, and
No.
then he'll dump her again.
Of course.
Yeah, like I said, that was
Chasing lizards.
that was the point that I was trying to make. That there's different scenarios that can go different ways. It could be that the dumper gets jealous and wants them back, or it could be the dumpee that wants that person back. But that was the point I was trying to make, that you could dump the person and be jealous and want them back.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just human nature. I feel like that's so wrong.
Scarcity
Yeah.
creates value.
And there's also the scenario where the person does get dumped and then they move on because maybe it depends on the situation. Maybe the guy was abusive, or maybe the guy was, not being good with her and whatnot. And maybe at one point she's just like, I'm done with this.
A lot of people that I know that have been abused by their boyfriends, it's almost like they have Stockholm syndrome.
Yep.
And they immediately, once it's over, they go somewhere else, they automatically go right
They
back.
go right back.
It's like
They're
they
like, oh
can't-
my God, wait, I'm not done being abused.
Yeah. But I guess it really depends on the situation and like the mindset that person's in, like the state of mind that they're in at that moment.
The thirst is real.
Yeah.